So where did I leave off? Where did I?
We were in the guy's tent, and he brought up the scroll.
Right. So he pulls out a map.
To bring out the scroll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. He pulls out a map and essentially shows you that the camp is here. So about halfway down the border, the common border between Ren and Faressa. And that is from where you are. Oops, it's grabbing it. Let's see. Like 150 miles, which is, at least a bit better than like the 300 or so miles to get to the coast. Although, I mean, like I said, the Piltz's, their plan was once you were in Faressa, it's going to be populated again. It's a separate country and it's far enough away from the front lines that they're not evacuating people. So once they're in civilization, they don't necessarily have to fear that they're going to be murdered by monsters. Or at least, that's the thought. It's always possible that something will happen. But they were traveling without you before this, not worrying about monsters. They think in civilization they'll be safe again.
So,
and he then says, I can't even say necessarily that will be completely safe, as there are some enemy forces behind the lines. Certainly, if you wanted to get out of the anti-magic field, it's probably faster to go to Faressa than to try to, your original course down this road rather than trying to get to the refugee camp. Although the refugee camp is also outside the effect. Right, and you, inside the tent, you begin to hear like a low rumbling outside. And you begin to hear like a series of sounds like you've never heard before. You, as a player, would probably liken it to the sound of rockets flying overhead. Everyone who is outside, you see there are these streaks of bright, radiant flame that are just crossing from the southeast up to essentially due north of you. And there's probably a dozen of them flying in one after the other.
Yeah, hearing that, Lucirosi would immediately run out to see what's going on.
So everyone at this point is essentially looking up. So looking up at the sky, sort of through the red haze that covers everything, you could see these bright. Actually, I said they were white. They appear red, but they are streaking across the sky up into the north. Eventually, after a minute or so, though, you don't hear them anymore. They seem to have all sort of, they seem to have all focused on some area pretty far to the north of you.
To the mountains, or?
No, actually, it wouldn't have been exactly to the north. It would have been more to the northwest. But it probably focused somewhere in like the lower hills.
Lucirosa would kind of look to the others and be like, were those shooting stars or something?
Looked like shooting stars. I've never seen a shooting star during the day, though.
No, nor have I.
Zarius will look to T-Hole and say, "This is another effect of your throne."
I can't hear you, Dustin.
Hear me now?
Yep.
So T-Hole would look to God and ask that question.
You don't remember anything exactly like this. I mean, give me an Arcana check.
Oh, damn.
So, yeah, you don't remember anything like this.
I don't recall any such things, streaks across the sky. But there's also much I do not recall.
Well, they can't be magic because it seemed like they crossed through the null magic field.
They were above it.
This castle wasn't above it.
Sorry, what was that, Peter?
Is it a sign from Asheros?
If it is a sign from Asheros, it's the most direct intervention I've ever heard Asheros engaging in.
Maybe the giants have their own siege weapons, which sort of come from out of space or whatever, or out of the sky.
If that was a weapon of war, I shudder to think what is going to happen as a result of it.
Where did it seem to originate from?
The southeast. I mean, as near as you could tell, it arced across the entirety of the sky. It came low from the horizon all the way across to the other horizon.
Just an F-15. They don't run on magic. They can fly right through it.
I'm curious if it came from.
From Faressa?
Hey, did
I mean,
it come
it
from your
definitely
people,
sort of-
Darius?
It came from that direction.
What did Nimrod say?
Did it come from your people? Hey, you live down south, right? You guys got any big weapons like that? You tell us, right? Yeah. He would.
This is Zarius' actual reaction in real time.
Don't talk to him. Maybe he'll go away. Don't talk to him. Maybe he'll go away.
It's like got that lizard eye that's like kind of trained on him and make sure he doesn't get close to me and try and fucking steal any of my things.
Lucerosi says a prayer, and he says, I truly pray for anybody that might be on the receiving end if that is a weapon. But I'm not sure there's anything we can do about it now. We have some decisions to make as to how we're going to proceed. And then, can someone jar my memory? Did we talk about maybe splitting some of the Colossi and the Deadpools to accompany the family while the rest of us headed towards Cartha? I feel like that was discussed at some point.
I don't know.
I don't remember it being discussed in the group.
Think
In
we-
an email, I discussed maybe assigning somebody to Weiss, but she's not going with the Piltzes.
Okay.
We did talk about if they wanted to go to the refugee camp, but I'm pretty sure Lokexicus wasn't really into that idea.
Oh, I could say Lokexicus doesn't want to go to the refugee camp. That is she would step in if you're actually discussing this and say, that is quite a detour.
Yeah.
I think we are better off just trying to make it to the Athmir and finding a boat.
Yeah, but you don't have to live like a refugee.
Right, but once we get to the refugee camp, if it's in Ren, we're going to be hundreds of miles away from even the Athmir. It is essentially in the opposite direction of Cartha.
Seems that these people of this country would not take kindly to you being present.
Well, I can probably hide my normal appearance.
Can you do the same of her, pointing to Weiss?
No, it's disguise self.
But Lokexicus does bring up a good point. Perhaps we should speak with the what are their names again? The
Peltzes?
Peltzes. Yes. I mean, we do have. I don't want to leave them without some kind of safe passage, but we also do have goals that we need to seek out. Perhaps
Well,
along the way they can find somewhere suitable.
I mean, so Otto chimes in and says, well, I mean, it would be nice if you would come with us to the refugee camp, but I have understood that you were not headed in that direction. So if you can take us to a major town, one that hasn't been evacuated, I'm sure we can find another caravan to take us at least as far as St. Bellery, and from St. Bellery we can then make our way to one of the refugee camps. Maybe not the one that you have, this soldier has pointed to, but one of the other ones.
Yeah, I think that would be the best. So do we, Lucirosi would kind of look at the group and say, so have we finished what we need of here? Shall we move on now?
Zarius will look to the captain or whatever guy, unless she wishes to let us search around the place.
Like I said, this is my job is to excavate as much useful material as I can out of this castle. So I don't see how I would explain it to my superiors if I said that, famous as you are, that I just let you haul stuff out and take it away.
Who says that you have to let them know that we took anything?
Well, but it's protocol. This is a war. Anything we find here will help us fight a war.
How do you know?
Well, because however valuable it may be, money's useful in wars.
What if we are
I mean,
not searching for money?
This is clearly a giant's fortress, and so the giants are part of the problem that we're facing right now. They may not be the enemy in the most immediate sense. I mean, they're not members of the Morses, so far as we know, but I'm sure this anti-magic field was put in place to catch things like flying castles in the clouds.
What if we find actionable intel?
Well, I don't doubt your skills at excavating, but a lot of the people here are actual miners. I'm sure if there's actionable intel in there, we'll find it ourselves. I mean, we're prepared to be here for a long time, breaking every rock up into little rocks. Oh, I don't imagine you're going to be here quite as long as us. I feel like we'll
Nope.
find everything eventually.
Zarius is gonna go for a gambit here. He's gonna hold his fingers up to his temple. Apparently, someone of your superiors have means of communicating through this. They say to let us search.
Go ahead and make me a deception check.
Look at that.
So he thinks about it. And then he says, well, so how long are you going to be searching?
I do not imagine for very long. We do have other tasks we have to do as well.
Zarius, I'm a little confused.
You
I
would
mean-
be. Stay quiet.
No,
Yeah,
but
He then like steps around behind or beside Lucirosi and yells out, Comey! And eventually Halfling comes running up. Comey, you're assigned to them. They're going to be doing some excavation or some searching or some such through the ruins. Just catalog whatever it is they find. We can figure out if they find anything that we need. I mean, I'll give you this much. If you find anything that's just, coins, we haven't found anything of value, of direct monetary value other than coins. But if you find anything that's, just cash, fine. You can keep it.
Well, let's set up camp.
Zarius, I notwithstanding this new ability that you have, to what purpose do you think searching this castle is going to have? I mean, we have to be moving. What could this castle offer that might help us on our current journey or quest?
Well, it'll get a few of us out of the sun for a few hours, Lush. And I
What?
begin unpacking. I
Right.
begin unpacking the tents or like the shelters or whatever out of the.
Creatures such as this, they have incredible sources of power. If we can learn of it.
But there's so much ground covered. We're not going to be here long enough to get into the excavation that we would need.
Yeah, I would say the ruins are probably scattered over an area that's, about a football field in radius. So it is like the ruins are scattered about quite a bit. The main portion of it, you imagine the castle was probably like 100 yards by 100 yards originally, but when it hit, it essentially exploded outward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Lush Rosie's point to Zarius is more, given the small amount of time that we have, to what degree of certainty are you that we're even going to be able to find anything of value before we have to move on?
Well, you could use your abilities, Arius, and find out.
I will say this. We have not been given a specific time frame. We have all the time that we need. I do not intend to stay here for very long. But there could be items of use in this location.
Zarius, you say that there's no time frame, but not only are your people under attack, but also Asheros has sent me on a divine quest to address the seed of the Darian.
We are going in the wrong direction for that. Right? There's no palm trees this direction.
You're muted, Kurt.
There are no palm trees to the north either. So, I mean, if there are palm trees, they're in the south, but you are 2,000-3,000 miles from the nearest palm tree.
Right.
But that is where Nimrod wants to go because there's treasure there. Who knows?
Yes, treasure.
I only remember the palm tree being discussed.
Right.
That's right.
Right. The palm tree didn't seem to have anything to do with my vision of the seed of the Desarian.
But
Yeah,
I
would say that the only oddity is that he had a vision. It somehow featured you, and his had like palm trees in it in front of like an ocean, and yours, you had a vision that sort of directed you to find him. So, other than that, though, no, there's no actual connection. He knew nothing of the seed before he met you.
Mm-hmm.
And he was expecting to find treasure.
Well, yeah.
Our goals.
Spiritual treasure.
Our goals are weeks to months away. A day or two spent here is negligible.
I agree.
Quiet.
I mean, if we must I am not comfortable with it. I would rather us get on with what we need to get on with as quickly as possible.
Well, I need to prep you for a possible meeting with somebody a bit later, Lush, when we end up in Cartha.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Don't worry.
are you talking about the faceless one?
Yeah.
Then
It's not any of you, is it? He backs up a little bit.
Well,
Pointing
now
at
you're
everyone.
you're now outside the captain's tent. But there's 500 people around you now, any of whom could be a doppelganger. Assuming that doppelgangers don't change back in anti-magic fields, who knows?
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we should keep our guard up.
Lucirosi would look at Nimrod and say, then we should speak of that soon.
Mm.
It sounds like you got some things to discuss with Nimrod, Lush, and we should probably search Zarius.
All right, then let's get on with it.
And the halfling next to you, Comey, says, are you going to require any equipment?
Potentially, what do you have?
Mining equipment, pickaxes are the typical. We also have spades, block and tackle.
This could be useful, yes.
Whatever you prefer to use.
I'll look to T-Hole to queryingly, wondering if he's going to follow along.
Well, I've always, might as well, I suppose, grab a pickaxe and a shovel.
Yeah, I might need a couple bows and a couple baskets as well.
A couple bows?
Yeah, and baskets.
We can certainly, I don't know that we have many baskets. We do have crates.
Yeah, that'll do.
And why would you require bows? We do have bows that we could spare, I'm sure.
Well, we're gonna go hunting. There's got to be some game out here somewhere.
Oh, not very much, I'm afraid. The most efficient way to hunt out here is to use small traps. Rabbits and shrews, moles, very small animals, squirrels, mostly herbivores.
Oh, we'll make do. We've got enough traps, I think. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you have 12 traps.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll be fine.
But he yells out to somebody else and tells them to bring back several empty crates, a half dozen bows, and 6 quivers of arrows. And, and other equipment. They come back. There's essentially, 6 mining picks, several shovels.
So
the bows and arrows.
So Lucirosi would look to Zarius and say, all right, well, you're leading this search, so where do you want us to go?
I would try and determine where perhaps get a rough sense of the layout of what the place might have looked like before it collapsed and exploded.
So give me an investigation check.
I'm really good at those.
From at least the main pile of rubble, it is hard to tell. You would guess that the walls probably were flat, which suggests that it was probably either rectangular or square, rather than just a giant circular castle in the sky. But it does, from what you can tell, it does seem like there was probably a fairly solid outer wall. So it was more or less like a proper castle that you might see on the ground.
Okay. Wouldn't it be some shit if this wasn't
right.
like a flying giant castle? It's just a castle that was thrown here.
Or
Yeah,
a
so I
castle that
mean,
just exploded.
it was already here. It was invisible. Yeah, I don't know. Go to where perhaps the bulk, because I would imagine whatever treasure somebody might have had would either have been in whoever ran the place's room or in some sort of dungeon type thing.
Sorry, what was that? I got lost there in the middle of the sentence. Say that again?
So I imagine whoever's keeping or whoever lived in this castle would have kept their treasure either in their room or in some sort of vault type of thing. So that's got to be somewhere, presumably center-ish.
So who is helping out in this?
And I will help whatever I can do.
Yeah, Lucirosi will help. And while doing this, would be kind of also speaking with Nimrod, I imagine.
Oh, Nimrod's not
Or-
helping. He's gonna be out gathering and stuff.
Oh,
So anyone who's helping, make me an investigation check.
I just like wave you off, Lucirosi, and say, "I'll meet up with you tonight."
all right.
So Aurelia, you for some reason, I guess being more familiar with castles than anyone other than T-Hole, who is really just phoning it in at this point
Yep.
for some reason.
Yeah, he is.
You begin to sort of figure out that there's probably more than one building initially, and all of them were first of all of them seemed like the ceiling height was kind of giant size. Like there were no human-sized doors in this place. You realize the doors themselves were probably 30, 40 feet high. And all of these things, all of the buildings probably were several floors, many of which are now pancaked down on top of one another. So sort of difficult to reconstruct from the exploded ruins, what individual buildings were there and what their exact shape was. At least, with an 18, it's hard to do. If you'd gotten super high, maybe you could have puzzled it out. But figuring out, since it was, the questions like, can you even have like a basement if your castle is built into a cloud? It's like Florida. You can't just dig down into the cloud. So there may not have been like a cellar or a basement per se. And you can't really figure out like if there were a vault, where would it be? Or if there were bedrooms, where would they be? In the center, you can kind of figure out was probably like a great hall, like a courtroom for a throne or to receive people. But other than that, it's very difficult to figure out what was where.
I relay this to Xerius.
All right. We'll just pick a couple of candidate spots.
This potential throne sounds real intriguing. I will search this area.
Okay. So Xarius, assuming they're essentially like, there's the central area where this potential throne may have been, and then there are essentially 4 other corners of what you imagine this place probably looked like. Do you want to search one of the corners or the central area?
We'll go start with the central. Aurelia wants to look at the throne. I guess we'll see if we can find the
So first, roll me a d4 to see how long it's going to take you how many hours it's going to take to search the central area.
Ugh.
And whoever wants to roll an investigation check with advantage.
I have a +6.
I got
Alright,
two.
beats me.
So let's see what you find. You do find that there was a throne there. The throne itself wasn't necessarily, it was probably fairly expensive at some point. You find the remains of it, but it was made of wood. So it is completely shattered and smashed. And, unless you could find somebody who's just curious about it because it was a giant throne, probably of no actual value except as firewood. But you do find a number of the gold coins and 22 platinum coins.
So like giant platinum.
Right.
Oh fuck yeah, dude.
So
Take
each
that.
one is essentially 100 platinum worth of coin.
Take that shit quick.
And 170 gold. And
Who's
Comey the
keeping track
halfling,
of all this?
Comey the halfling is writing it down, but he's not going to be sharing his record with you. So someone else may want to write it down.
So that
You
was
find a crushed silver statue. It is just, it is just almost a smear, but you can vaguely make out that at one point it was a silver raven. Now it's more like a silver roadkill raven.
how big?
Sort of normal raven sized. So like a foot tall it probably was when it was intact.
Within mending range?
Oh no, it's not broken. It is just crushed down into a plate.
I mean,
It has been run through the penny press.
Relative. I didn't get the number of coins before.
It was 22 platinum.
And 170 gold.
Right. So 17,000 gold pieces and 2,200 platinum pieces worth.
And we had 17 uncatalogued gold before. Right?
Right. You find a giant, it's a black metal greatsword, but it is size huge. It is still, in fact, even after 3 hours of digging, it is still mostly buried in the rock, but it appears to be largely undamaged.
Mm.
You're guessing from the overall design of it that it is, probably 15, 20 feet long.
When you say black, does it seem like it might be made out of adamantine?
That's possible. I mean, there are a couple of, adamantine's not necessarily the only thing that makes swords black, but given that this is intact, it's a pretty good guess. It's probably adamantine.
And that was kind of a player guess on my part. Would Lucia Rossi even know what adamantine is? Is that?
It's adamantine is not common, but I would say it's the sort of thing that adventurers probably would have heard about. You also find a giant amulet, but it is also crushed beyond any usefulness. Originally bronze, there are a number of what look to be arcane symbols that were carved into it, but it is essentially just a hunk of bronze now.
So after all this time, Lucia Rossi would look to Zarius and ask, so has your curiosity been sated, or are we going to continue with this endeavor?
believe it might be worth searching one more location.
So there's still basically the 4 corners left. So which one did you want to search? North, east, south, or west?
Yeah. We'll go like clockwise, cardinal direction with a D4.
Sure.
So 1 is north. So that'd be west. Sorry,
Okay,
south. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Okay, so you head to the southern, what you believe to be the southern corner of the original building. Now roll me another D4 to see how long this takes.
We got better at it, right? So it's gonna like D4 -1.
Yeah, but all the rocks have moved, so
Not in this
it's
place.
like having.
It's also like 100 degrees almost.
Yeah,
So
that is part of it. Like you're not going to be able to travel after this and not potentially be exhausted. So this is a little bit easier for you. So I don't know if Lucia Rossi's still to directing this dig. Whoever wants to do the investigation check, presumably you have help from somebody else and can have advantage.
I would help.
I'm fine with doing it again. If I'm mostly just kind of following Zarius's lead, though. But if we're gonna do something, Lucia Rossi's gonna do it right.
Oh, well.
Finding that good shit.
So yeah, I will have to find something better than this normal shit I've been finding. A lot of things that would have been destroyed so far. So in this area, you don't necessarily find exactly what you were expecting to find. You actually begin to piece together that the furniture and all of the fittings in this particular tower that you found were more sort of normal humanoid sized, probably for medium or large sized creatures. And in the midst of all of this, you do find a short sword that is in 100% perfect condition somehow, even though it appears to have been, I mean, there was a rock that was resting right on the blade that really should have bent it, but somehow it is still intact. It's not black, because of the field, it's not magical. So how it managed to keep its shape, you don't know. But just the design of it screams magic item, either that or someone very wealthy put it together. You also find underneath of it, there is a very much smashed up suit of plate armor. It is essentially unusable at this point. It would probably take more money and time to fix it up and make it useful than it would cost to build a new set from scratch. But around the waist of this smashed plate armor, there is a belt that has the figure of what looks initially like an old man, but you realize when you clean it up that it is in fact not an old man with wild hair, but a lion with a mane that just encircles the entire face. The belt itself, from its design, you're guessing is magical. Luckily, the plate sort of folded over on top of it as it was crushed, and it appears as though the belt is largely intact, a little scuffed. You then realize with a start that inside the plate armor, there is the remains of someone essentially smashed into paste.
Oof.
I was wondering if we were finding any bodies.
Not so far, not in the places you've looked,
Except for this one.
except for this guy.
Finally, this guy. And the head.
So
literally no other sign. There's no way of determining species.
Not from what from. I mean, I would let you make a medicine check, but the DC is super high to roll this guy's paste between your fingers. Tastes human.
Ah, come on. Roll a 4.
Yeah, you can't tell just from what's left. I mean, it was definitely a medium-sized, humanoid in form, whether it was humanoid or not. But from the design of the armor, you can't really tell. You're guessing it's probably not an elf. If the size of it suggests like human or half elf, but the remains themselves are just too gone.
Okay.
All right. So, is your curiosity sated now, Zarius?
Well, at this point, this would have happened as it really has gotten dark at this point. So excavation in the rest of the place has stopped. The soldiers have essentially have already lined up to have their dinner, what little of it they have, and they're essentially getting ready to bed down for the night. It's not super late, but it is probably like 9 p.m. ish.
At Lushrosi's question, Zarius will look to him and say, I am tempted to continue.
Well, we'll ask the group if they're aligned with this, and we'll discuss tomorrow. We've had a hard day's work ahead of us, or behind us. We should rest.
So let's take a 5-minute break. I have to send out a message to someone.
All right.
Well, I guess they're not here at the moment anyway, although they
Okay,
may have their
alright.
headset on. If you
Maybe.
want to play it out, that's fine.
Yep.
But obviously, playing it out means they'll all hear.
There's
They
the
won't know,
possibility of
right?
yeah.
They will have to all pretend they're not hearing.
Yeah, I know that's
But-
gonna be a bit hard.
but I think it's fine. Or I
think
just need to know how
otherwise,
many, or I just need to know this.
so I was
See, I'm sure Zarius is listening because his mute and unmute are going on and off,
Mm.
flickering.
I'm thinking all. Yeah. They're all distracted. Yeah. All.
Okay.
So for each of them. I don't know how I would apply it, but I know Weiss is cooking and I've
I'm
got
sure Weiss will. I mean, there's not a lot, but she is a decent cook, so I'm sure she will cook for the group.
yeah, cool. That and yeah, I've got like the wine as well. If I need to convince one or two others to have a drink as well.
Okay, I'll make some rolls then.
Yeah.
Let's do it here. Okay. All right. So I will be back in a minute then, and we will sort of pick it up as the group eats dinner. You're muted.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's all sweet. Yeah, if like even if we did it earlier, like in the afternoon, because they've been out all day, so like we could have done our little hunting expedition, had time to eat lunch, and then, you know, I don't know. Is that workable or?
Well, we'll just say it's done at dinner.
Okay.
Especially since I mean I know what I know what's about to happen because I rolled the numbers.
That doesn't sound devious at all.
Not at all. Yeah, that's one thing about Nimrod. He's got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Got his own little mini game he's playing.
Well,
I am very curious to hear what he has to say about the Faceless One and Kartha, because I don't know.
well, I mean, he is a genius, so.
Right, he may know things I haven't figured out yet.
Something strange has happened that I don't think I ever anticipated.
What?
I think I might be getting sick of spicy pickles.
What?
I didn't think this was possible. But, you know.
I think we figured out who the Faceless One is. A sure sign of who is the doppelganger. They don't like spicy pickles. I mean, I personally find that things like that happen all the time. Like I'll absolutely be into something, and then just one day, I'll walk away from it for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And maybe it comes back.
I mean, I have been eating probably on average like 2 to 3 jars a week for a long time.
Yeah. I think admitting that you have a problem is the first step.
Jars of what?
Spicy pickles.
He just admitted that he may be getting sick of them.
What company is that makes those?
Lawson.
Okay. Well, let me know if when you stop, I'll be sure to dump that stock before it drops.
Yeah.
Lady, he's putting my kids through college.
Call them the pickle stocks. Clausen, Vlasic.
So the black sword is simply too big to use. Could be tremendously valuable, but still kind of half buried. It would take a little more work to free it. I don't know if you're doing that. Even if you did, it's not clear that Comey would let you take it. That does not fall within the gold and valuables exception. Comey was there and saw the smashed plate mail and the lion belt and the sword, the silver sword. So he dutifully wrote that down in his book. So what do you intend to do with that stuff?
Well, I
Give it to
mean,
Nimrod. Of course.
Obviously, I'm curious about the lion belt, but Lucia Rossi is always looking for signs from Asheros. And he's also thinking, maybe Darius was right about searching this thing.
Yeah, no shit.
But
So as you walk away, Comey goes off to report back into the captain. You go back. The group is sort of scattered at this point. I mean, a lot of them have had the whole day, so they weren't all just like standing around the cart waiting. So you're not, what they're off doing, you're not entirely sure. But you come back. Weiss has begun like cooking dinner for everyone, and basically it's her only job. So it's what she does every night. And you could discuss, how you're divvying this stuff up or what you're doing with it. I assume somebody has recorded it. Because I know it's easy to lose track of these items, especially since you won't even be able to figure out what they are until you're out of the anti-magic field.
I recorded the items. I think, Tony, you were keeping track of all the gold.
Yeah, did we find it? We didn't find any gold in that other spot, that second spot.
I'll say you did. Let me go back. This thing I'm using doesn't actually give me gold and items together. I have to roll separately. You find actually normal sized coins, all sort of imperial mintage coins. Although it's, you find this guy had probably 10,000 silver, another 2,000 gold, and 60 platinum coins. He also had a number of gems, but they again are all smashed.
I had 2K silver. What was the other?
He had 10,000 silver.
Oh, shit.
Like it would take a while even to collect it all.
I'll
But
mark it.
10,000 silver, 2,000 gold, and 60 platinum. And so,
worth just leaving that silver here. I might take a handful, but
right. Well, I mean that's probably fair. What is that? It's that is 200 pounds of silver. I mean, you can load it onto the cart. Let the warhorse deal with it.
aren't we like separating from them? That's not even our cart, is it?
It's not your cart. The warhorse is sort of yours, though.
Yeah.
And but you're not separating immediately. You also have to discuss: are you going to the camp, or are you just going to head south for the Athmere and then split up when you're in more civilized territory?
Yeah, that's Lucia Rossi's preference, that we just head for the Athmere. And these people can come along. We'll keep them safe in the meantime, but we got places to be and things to do. Lucia Rossi's on a mission from God.
Oh.
I'm gonna ask the whoever, I can't think of the name of the who owns the cart.
That's Otto Piltz.
Okay, ask Otto if he wants some of the silver.
Well, that's very kind of you. I can hardly say no. I mean, we do have to. I do not feel well, but yes, I would like some of the silver. It would help us greatly.
You don't, wait a second, you don't feel well?
I don't feel very well. I would like to lay down. It's so
What's
hot.
wrong? Did you eat the elves' cooking?
I did.
Well, he was out hunting all day.
Right, he was also out hunting all day. He's not used to hard work.
I'm a bit of a hard taskmaster.
Could be poisoned. I checked to see if anybody else has been poisoned by the elves' cooking.
Hey, Aurelia, roll me a Constitution save. And Zarius.
I don't get my +1. I get a 17.
So you also feel like a little queasy, like the food is not sitting well.
Mhm.
Otto begins vomiting black blood up all over you and doubles over on the ground in pain. Otto's son begins to just begin to convulse and falls off his chair. Almost immediately, he stops moving. Otto's wife then follows suit and just falls headfirst onto the table.
Looks like we're getting a cart too.
Whoa.
What?
Otto's daughter and her husband, however, appeared to be fine. They're screaming.
I didn't work him that hard. Like, whew. Maybe they.
And Aurelia, although you made your save, you still take 12 poison damage.
Or what?
The elf poisoned us.
T-Hole will be like, what? And he gets up and he strides over to Weiss.
Wait, so is it only the people that ate Weiss's cooking?
Yeah, all of you ate Weiss's cooking. It's just only certain people. I mean, it's not like, look, I would say this, given your +6 to investigation, it's not like Weiss has been walking around with vials of poison. Where would she get poison? Might just be bad food.
Maybe she's been keeping it somewhere.
Yep.
Well,
I
we
mean,
did have
Did you
where
do a
would the
full
slave-
full cavity search whenever you
Where
were
would the-
a slave?
I'm sure Lucia Rossi did not do a body cavity search on his new slave.
As much as Lokexicus would have liked to join in on that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Aurelia does hurl then at that.
Can Lucia Rossi do a medicine check to see if he can get a sense of what's going on right now?
Yeah, I would start examining.
Absolutely, you can. You now realize Otto is still alive. He is unconscious, but he has not died. The wife, however, and the son are just dead.
Terrible.
Whoa.
So, Zarius, you are 100% sure that they have been poisoned. You know what? 26 is high enough that I have to say you recognize the poison. It's that troll venom
Troll.
from the troll that was spraying venom all over people.
Okay. Was Aurelia the only one that got hit by that?
Aurelia is the only one who got sick immediately, like right now. But I
Right.
mean, a couple people got splashed with the venom at the time.
Is there
Perhaps
anything?
did somebody collect the venom and feed it to these people?
Uh,
Maybe
is there
someone
enough
put
of
it
the?
on their clothes.
Is there enough of the food that these people ate that we could try to examine the food?
Otto's plate is actually pretty clean, but the wife actually died while eating her meal, so that is still there.
She's slight.
I mean, it'd
So
probably
yeah,
be
if
difficult, but
you could do an investigation check on her plate of food.
all right. I'm sure he will do so because he's very concerned about all this. Of
I
course.
mean, seems normal enough to you.
Yeah.
We do have an action point.
Yeah, a number of soldiers have gathered around now as this is all very concerning. You can hear a lot of people are talking about like, is the food poisonous? And the
Nimrod
captain
might,
comes running up. What happened? What's going on? Medics! And a couple people come running forward. A couple of the soldiers come running forward and begin to inspect the bodies. A couple of them are trying to ease the suffering of Otto, who is still convulsing.
Where is Weiss?
I'll tell them what I.
Weiss
know.
is sort of she is still over by the pot she was cooking things in, so she's not that far away. It's like 20 feet.
Okay. Lucia Rossi is going to go over to Weiss and grab her wrist and ask, her point blank, did you do this? Did you poison them?
Where would I have gotten poison? No, of course I didn't.
From the troll.
Look, I've been with her all day.
The troll, I was unconscious when I've only heard about the troll. I mean, I saw the other trolls, but the one that you're talking about, I was unconscious.
Did you prepare? Did you prepare these meals? Did you see anybody do anything to them, to the food?
Someone assist you.
Yeah, look, I was helping prepare.
I mean, there were people all around. The entire camp is filled with people.
Nimrod, you were with her? You were with Weiss this whole time?
The whole time. I can vouch for her completely.
Well, regardless, if you guys didn't do it, it doesn't look good. We need to figure out what happened quickly.
Isn't that convenient? No, isn't it?
Aurelia, are you all right? You don't look great.
I'm a bit queasy.
Did the halfling assist you ever?
Are you talking about Comey's areas?
Who? No.
Who are you talking to?
Dora.
And what halfling are you talking about?
Oh, Dora.
Dora.
So you're talking
Dora.
about
To us.
Dora?
Yeah.
To who? Who are you
Us.
asking? Did the halfling? Oh.
Look,
The
she
halfling
was out
Dora.
hunting.
Dora was out with you, Nimrod?
Yeah, I didn't see any of the food. She was helping, like, capture animals, maybe get a couple mushrooms. But
Even so, this doesn't seem like something Dora would do. She's a psychopathic monster, but still, this doesn't benefit her in any way. At least none that I can think of.
And Dora says, "I'm right here."
Yeah, I know, Dora.
That being said, normally Dora's more straightforward with her homicide. This one, nodding towards Nimrod, has not been.
look,
Actually,
I'll
Zarius,
steal
also
from your
make me a medicine check. Another one.
Another one? Come on. Fuck yeah, dude.
So
How's the
one
33
thing-
do for you?
one thing you would know 100% for sure is if somebody just had some of the troll venom, unless it was in like an airtight container, it certainly would no longer be effective this many days after collecting it from the troll. So,
Mhm.
I mean, somebody would have had to have like bottled it
Right.
or had some other way of keeping it fresh.
Do you share this with us, Darius?
Yeah, so I'll say whoever had it would have a vial, most likely, or some other method for containing this
All right,
venom.
well, we would need to search then. So Lucirosi would then begin organizing people to search through their belongings, make sure nobody had any vials of troll venom.
Everybody line up, full cavity searches.
Yeah,
And in this line, and in this line.
Yeah, so who,
T-Hole's like, I'll
there-
get the women's line.
right. There are like, obviously the 500 people in the camp itself who are members of the camp. Who exactly are you searching?
no, I would keep it to the family, Weiss, Dora, just because, I don't think it's her. It doesn't mean that I don't want to just be sure.
We should all be searched.
I agree, Zarius. I think we need to show that we have nothing to hide.
Yeah, well, what about all the coins I've been stealing from you? Well, what if they get found?
Nimrod, that's something to talk about later. Right now, we have more pressing matters to discuss. Or to deal with, rather.
Well, I call not it on full cavity searching you, Lucius.
Lucirosi would just kind of start.
I do not believe that container is sealed enough.
I don't know what you're speaking of, Sarius.
That's a good point. Lukexic probably already picked the lock.
Well,
So who are you
We
searching
hope
for?
I hope somebody watches that episode and writes their own fan fiction.
I mean, just because Weiss was handling the food, and I think anybody that was handling the food needs to be searched first.
all right.
Okay.
So,
So you
Just hands off the junk.
right, you go to search Vice. How thoroughly are you searching? You know, is this a full cavity search?
no, it's not a full cavity search.
I mean, there were also the camp cooks. The Otto's wife herself certainly poked at the food at some point.
I mean, Lucirosi would be less inclined to believe it was like. Did anybody from the camp die, or just
No.
demonstrate poison?
No, nobody, none of the soldiers seem to have been affected by this.
Yeah. So, given that, Lucirosi would be hesitant to believe that the soldiers had done this.
It seems targeted. That or somebody's aim is terrible.
So Lokexicus comes up and says, well, I have a suggestion. How about, due to the sensitivities of it, how about I search Vice?
Yes, I think that would be good. Look, Exicus.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't
Vice,
you?
Vice does not think that's so
Or-
good. I don't want this devil touching me.
Don't worry, Vice. She's gentle.
I will search.
Lucirosi is getting nervous now. He's like
Zarius will step up.
Aurelio's getting sicker.
Zarius will step up. Our anatomies are inadequate. They do not mesh.
I'm not sure I want a dragon touching me either. She seems less disturbed by it, but still disturbed.
All right.
I just stand there like I'm the best option. But even though Lucirosi is definitely the better option. Or T-Hole, technically. They're the ones with the good investigations.
Okay, so
And then, so
Lucirosi will.
Lokexicus then chimes in and says, if it's just a matter of finding a woman, there are several colossi and Deadpools who are female. I don't think she actually likes humans in general, and most of them are humans, but I don't know exactly.
Lucirosi would ask Weiss, what if Aramaki searches you?
She thinks about it for a second. I suppose that would be okay.
Okay, Aramaki, can you please make sure that there's no vials on Weiss's person?
Okay, so Aramaki goes up to do. Now, bear in mind, you're not going to be able to sort of evaluate her role, but I will roll on screen. so that I know how well she does. She is clean.
Well,
Lucia has to go up there and help her.
that's true. We did go down to the river. We might have
Okay,
had
so
a bath.
that's fine. Lucia Rossi helps her and she gets advantage.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
All of you
Yeah.
are gross.
I guess just wait your turn. Everybody's being searched.
Yeah.
I'd say pick your poison, but it might be too soon.
Well, Lucia Rossi trusts Aramaki, so
I heard
who
air
who
hockey.
else?
Yeah, hockey.
Who else do we suspect?
Nimrod.
Look, my hands are clean now. They weren't earlier.
Who wants to search Nimrod?
Just hands off the junk, boys. I'm not in. I don't swing that way.
T-hole step up. And
His hands are cold.
How? It's 100 degrees.
if you have anything to hide,
Well,
find it now.
well, I'm trying to hide my I'm trying to hide my poop from you. Like, so don't go up that chute. You know, we don't want any of that. But go ahead.
Too
Right.
bad I'm going up anyway.
So I'm gonna go in and give him a friendly pat down.
So Nimrod, you could say what he found.
Well, you would have found your golden sword, which I borrowed from you a couple episodes ago, and I didn't give back. Some gold pieces, you know, pretty much everything in my inventory, which is sort of a lot of junk. It's a lot of junk.
But
Oh,
does
you
he
would have found
find-
like a
A lot of
No.
junk in that trunk.
no sort of like
no
swords,
vials?
no
Do you have
vials or
any
anything.
vials of anything, like potions?
I have, what have I got here? I have a bottle of wine. The
Make him drink it.
decanter.
The decanter
And,
would be empty at this point, so
yeah.
that's fine.
A flask of oil. That's what I've got. That's
Make him
what.
drink it.
So that's what you find, a bottle of wine, an old bottle of wine, a hobgoblin vintage, and this flask of oil. But you don't find anything that looks like poison.
So I
mean, the wine could be poisoned, who knows, but it doesn't seem like there was wine in the food.
Right,
Probably
but
got a little
also
sweaty.
didn't you share a bit of that wine with me at one point?
Yeah, I had 2 bottles. I had one bottle I
Okay.
gave to you, and then another one on my person.
And then the poison bottle.
Yeah, and the poison one, which I
Don't
threw
want
out.
to mix those two up.
Oh, besides my stolen sword, which happens to be on your person, you seem clean.
Yeah. You're gonna need that. Oh, fine. Keep it. And I just hand it over. I'll find my way to get it again. I mean, nothing.
So who's next?
Oh, actually, I volunteered to frisk Dora, please. Yes, please. Me.
I don't think so.
Yeah, come on, Dora. Come here. Come here, bub.
They proceed to, she runs away and he is chasing her like around the table.
And this is how Nimrod dies. He critically fails the grapple check.
And
Zara,
Weiss says, well, maybe Aurelia accidentally poisoned herself when she's poisoning everyone else.
Who
She
said this?
clearly doesn't like us. Maybe I was next. I just have not eaten yet, for I was making food for all of you.
Who's this, the elf woman?
Yes.
Yeah, how does Aurelia react to that accusation?
Just burning holes through her head with my eyes.
those cat pupils have dilated. Zarius
So
will
at
step
this
forward.
point, by the way, the captain has called forward a couple of soldiers and comes up to you and says, these guys are at your disposal. I assume we're just going to bury the bodies. We really don't have the facilities here to cremate them, although that would be the ideal. We'll probably take them 100, 200 yards away from the debris field and bury them out in plains.
Thank you, Captain, but we need to figure out what happened here before we do that.
I completely agree. And, we can also line up men to execute whoever actually committed these murders, assuming it wasn't just bad food.
Right. Well, Zarius suspects that it is some form of poison.
I'm certain it is the troll's venom.
Actually, Captain, perhaps your men can help in searching us. We seem to have some issues with, because we want to make sure that we're searching everybody. We don't want to seem like anybody is beyond suspicion, because we need to be certain about this.
What are you asking? You want us to search you?
To search through our belongings, make sure that you don't find any kind of vials of poison or anything.
Could I like describe what it would look like?
Sure. I mean, it
The vial.
was sort of nighttime when you were seeing it, but you have like a general impression. I mean, it was pretty oily, at least. Like the exact color, you kind of know the color by firelight, but there are large bonfires glowing now. So you pretty much can describe what it would look like under the current lighting conditions to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to search each of you. I'm just going to...
There were 2 dead, right?
Yes,
2 dead and
two
2
dead and
very sick, right?
no, 2 dead, and Otto is unconscious, but his
the other 2 are fine.
daughter and son-in-law are fine.
So I'll go and
So he's going to call out somebody who's reasonably good at investigation.
I'm going to put copper coins on the eyes of the 2 dead.
Okay, so both the son sort of fell away from the table. The mother's still at the table, but people have taken her off and laid her on the ground at this point.
Yeah, I would lay them next to each other, like arms crossed over themselves,
So I will roll, and everyone can, whatever unmentionables you care to name, we can decide if you want to tell people that this is found. So first, they will start with Lucirosi. Nobody expects Lucirosi to be the fiend behind this, but to be fair, should search everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Annie's Pen episode of Community, for those of you who've seen it. He begins to, very carefully, he's taking off your armor piece by piece and going through everything. So, does he find anything embarrassing? Or any vials? Because he wouldn't necessarily, he would probably be setting aside any vials.
No vials. He might come across the 2 black coins that I still have, which might be odd. And I do have a silver scroll tube. But other than that, no.
Okay, so
Silver scroll tube.
he,
Silver scroll tube. And I do have a 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 silver that I think is waterproof because we found it back in the swamps by El Gator.
Boy.
Yeah, he would definitely unscrew the top of that and look
Yeah.
inside. But if there's no liquid in there, he would again set it aside. And you do have a good crowd now. Like not everyone can see just because there's limited space, but like the entire group of soldiers is kind of in a circle around you, keeping their distance. This is as good as TV. So
I do have that bottle of Nimrod's wine as well.
so they would set that aside and he would sort of sniff that. But he determines it's just wine. I mean, was it open before?
Yeah, because me and Nimrod shared a bit of it.
Nothing,
So
nothing
Nimrod, your
embarrassing. Just a little poo
other
stain.
bottle of wine at this point is open. So it's probably not going to keep forever.
God,
Gotta drink it.
it was vintage.
It was vintage, but people had to test it. So they will next go to they'll go to Nimrod again.
Oh boy, here we go. Hands off the junk, you two.
But they find the same stuff. Minus the golden sword that was taken back. Now they'll go to T-Hole. I don't think they find anything on T-Hole. Now Zarius. Oh, Zarius, all of your embarrassing things, whatever they are.
Ooh. You got some Dragonborn porno mags in there?
No.
Your Play Dwarf magazine is now being passed around.
Sorry, this is way too old for all that.
And then they come to Aurelia.
So they would find I still have a bottle of the Kyotom's ointment, but that's the only thing in a vial.
Don't
that I
forget
would
about
have.
all them gems he's got. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just counting them all up.
So
Nope.
Aurelia, I mean, again, they are kind of taking off all of your armor and searching through your clothing. So this person is doing his best to try to keep your modesty intact, but there is, there's some pat downs involved. It's the TSA.
As this is
thorough.
happening, Luciosi's trying to keep a look at people's expressions to see if maybe anybody's getting nervous about any of this.
Okay. Roll me an insight check.
My passive insight's like a 19, so.
So not that you can tell. I mean, the problem with passive insight is everyone involved in this is agitated. And so you could definitely tell that. But the difference between agitated and guilty is hard to tell. If you wanted to make an actual insight check, though, you might be able to figure it out.
Might be worth it. Especially if I see Luce Rossi, like, eyeballing the crowds and people and whatnot. So, oh, come on.
So as far as you can tell, it's everyone's a little nervous. But then they search Weiss again. She's clean.
Still clean.
So this whole process was reasonably thorough. So it takes about half an hour to go through everybody. But the guy then reports back to the captain, nothing that seems like a poison. I don't know how small the dose would be, where else they might hide it. And then he walks over and he just at this point, he's just sort of like checking the dead bodies.
Oh, that's a good idea. Do any of the dead bodies have anything on them?
The mother didn't, and the son.
They're clean.
Son doesn't seem to. Otto, he doesn't find anything on either. So.
If only.
You're
if
sure
only
this was a poison?
Yes.
If only that we weren't in this magic field that could compel the truth from everybody.
I could have attempted to detect poisons.
Hold on, let me send a whisper.
Good. I'll just look at them, stare directly.
Look at who? Oh, okay, I got it. Said them. That's what threw me off.
Them.
Trying to give no indication to others.
Yeah, I get it. I figured out that we were using it as the gender neutral.
Gender neutral, yeah.
Do any of us see Zarius staring daggers at anybody?
I'd say no. Zarius stares daggers at so many people.
Yeah. Look at me,
That's
look
all
at
I
me.
do. That's all I do. I'm like the grumpy cat of humanoids.
So, the captain says, seems as though we've hit kind of a dead end. Whatever poison they were using, they stashed it. And he turns, he's like, turns to the guy who was doing all the searching. I'm going to need you to stay here. Everyone else, all of you, Colossi, Deadpools, everyone in the area, I need you to step away with me. We're going to go 100 feet that way. And then he starts walking and turns and looks at all of you and is just motioning for you to follow him like a museum tour guide.
Okay.
It's a little fishy, Lush. What's going on
Lush
here?
Rossi would ask, all right, Captain, where are you taking us?
100 feet over here.
Yes, I understand, but I'm just curious how this is going to help us
Just trust me. Trust me on this. Go with me. You can always walk the 100 feet back if you don't like my explanation when we get there.
All right, no fast ones.
Oh,
I just
okay.
waddle up.
How does everybody else react to this?
Zarius looks like he's waiting for you all to start moving.
I mean, Otto is unconscious. The captain doesn't seem so concerned about that. Weiss is looking at Lucia Rossi.
All right, so Lucia Rossi will say, okay, well, I'm not sure the point of this, but I'm hoping that the captain is confident or competent and has a reason, so Lucia Rossi would follow. And kind of
Lochexicus and all the Deadpools and Cato follow. The Deadpools are kind of milling about.
I reach into my stuff and take out my dagger, but I try to keep it under my cloak since I had to find it. I don't usually use it.
So are people going with him now?
Yeah, I'd go.
Does Weiss go?
Weiss goes when she sees Lucia Rossi is going. She normally she follows a distance behind him, but she usually stays reasonably close.
I'm gonna go behind everyone.
Okay.
And I might even sort of pull Aurelia back
Is keyhole going?
Yeah.
Now to say,
So when you're about 50 feet away and walking, the captain yells back to the soldier who'd been doing all the searching. All right, I want you to get torches and methodically search the entire area for small empty bottles. Sorry, I pulled you away. I realize it seemed sort of suspicious and weird, but I figured if somebody stashed poison while, because you were kind of talking about searching everyone for a couple minutes there, they probably didn't pick it up.
No, that is very smart, Captain. My apologies for questioning your process there.
And so the guy proceeds to search the whole area. Nope, it's clean.
Squeaky clean.
Well, it seems like we're at a little bit of a dead end. I mean, absent magic, I don't know what to do.
Yes, if this occurred just a bit farther out, we'd have more resources. It seems that there's at least one person, though, that has committed homicide.
what is Weiss wearing?
She is in, she's actually, for a slave, relatively well dressed, but it's still peasant clothing. She's not in like complete rags or anything. It's pretty beaten and torn up from the troll encounter. There's still stains of like blood on it. There hasn't been time to actually wash anything properly. But, once upon a time, it was pretty decent clothing for a slave.
I'll call to Lucirosi.
All right. What is on your mind, Zarius?
Being quiet so that nobody can really hear except maybe any of our party members that might be nearby. I'll just say, I believe it is worth double checking your slave.
Do you have any particular reason?
Yeah, he's feeling frisky. Aren't you, Zarius?
I like use my quarterstaff to just sort of like push him away.
Right in the forehead.
Just like she seemed concerned for a moment when you mentioned compelling the truth.
All right. Give me a moment. So Lucirosi is going to approach Weiss, very serious look on his face, and he's gonna look her directly in the eye and say, Weiss, you know I am a paladin of Asheros, don't you?
I am aware.
And you know that I have the capacity to make you tell the truth once we are outside of this zone of null magic.
So
You are aware of this. And if you weren't, now you are. So I'm going to ask one more time before I search you again. Are we going to find vials of poison on your person? Are we going to find that you are responsible for this?
No, you're not going to find vials of poison.
Are we going to find that you're responsible?
No, you are not. I don't want you touching me. I understand you own me, but you say I am free.
Yes, under normal circumstances, but there's been a murder. Several. And we must be sure of who we have in our company.
Fine, then search me.
Okay. So Lucirosi
She just immediately, she's got like a little thing that she sort of wears over the shirt she has. She immediately just starts stripping down until she is completely 100% naked. Go on, this is what you wanted, right? Go on.
Loosh, mate.
No, this is not what I wanted. I didn't want any of this.
Why are you pressuring this poor girl?
In front of everybody.
Well, I'm trying to do it privately. I wasn't like doing that out in the open. I was kind of talking just between us.
She steps
this is
past you at this point, and she's like doing like a little bit of a wide circle as she's yelling now to the soldiers. This is your hero. He has been eyeing me like a piece of meat for days, ever since he bought me from the farmer.
So
Loosh.
while she's doing that, since she's out in the view of everybody, I'm going to pick up her clothes and make sure that there's nothing hidden within the clothing.
So give me an investigation check. You
I
find
swear if it was going to be below 10 again.
she has absolutely nothing you wouldn't normally expect to find. She does have like a small paring knife, but it's hard to imagine her doing more than like 1 point of damage.
Right.
Yeah. So what does it smell like, you freak? Ugh.
I'll wrap Nimrod in the head.
Ugh.
Seahole sees people beating on Nimrod, and he gets his staff, and he's like getting ready.
No, not you. Not you. Please, not you. Anyone but you.
They start like air hockeying him back and forth.
So Lucirosi will gather up Weiss's clothes and say, I'm not going to search you in that way. And he'll hand the clothes back over.
She snatches them back as you begin to offer them and starts putting them back on.
Yeah, but you've stripped her physically. Next, you're going to be stripping her mind with that bloody Asheros magic. Disgusting. Ow!
So then Lucirosi will turn to Zarius. Well, Zarius, what now? Directing some of the heat in Lucirosi's face back at Zarius.
You
That was my attempt to hit Nimrod, sorry.
Yeah, well, you hit, so... That was a real owl then.
The first time was just a warning.
The first time was more of a soccer owl.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, penalty.
So
Weiss begins to like storm off at this point. But soldiers gather in front of her, and the captain's like, no. We're even under the best of circumstances, we're not allowing an elf to just wander around in the night around us unaccompanied. But she may have killed someone, so you need to keep her close to you, even if she doesn't want it.
yeah, I understand. So then Lucirosi will turn to Zarius and once again repeat, so what now, Zarius?
I have not the answers you seek. I only know that she has a secret she wishes to keep.
Weiss comes over and like kneels down in front of Nimrod and very loudly says, "Thank you for being the only decent one who stood up for me." And she hugs him.
With clothes next time, please.
No, she's dressed now.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
All right.
Don't worry about it, babe.
What about T-Hole or Aurelia?
Maybe they just got what was coming to them.
That causes Lucirosi to react with an unintentional growl loosing from deep within his chest.
I mean, of course, I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't waste my time dealing with them, but perhaps it's not worth investigating, given that we've exhausted all their options.
Not worth investigating? These are innocent people that were just killed.
One of whom was about 12, if that.
I don't have any ideas.
I'm gonna go find Lokexicus.
She's still there.
Also, it was Dora. Dora, you around here?
You know, Dora was called a psychotic monster, so she probably isn't immediately visible.
Dora, did you poison them? Huh?
And you see Dora comes pushing her way through the crowd of soldiers. No, I did not poison them.
I feel like we're playing Mafia in D&D. It's a game within a game.
The meta game.
What is it? Murder mystery.
Where were you at?
So am I familiar with tieflings?
In what room? Oh, sorry. Yep.
I mean, you would be aware of tieflings in general. In the course of your entire life, you've probably seen a few. You may not have known any very closely. Certainly not growing up in the court, there wouldn't have been any.
But I've heard of them. They're like spawns of demons.
More that they are kind of like somewhere in their past, they had some demonic ancestry or some devilish ancestry. There are a lot of different kinds of fiends, though. Like Rakshasas are fiends, succubuses are fiends, but they're neither demons nor devils. There's just something fiendish in their background, but it can sometimes be, 1,000 years before. But nonetheless, that particular corruption just continues down the bloodline forever.
So as I walk over to Lokexicus, I pause for a moment. Where's the captain at?
Which captain?
The one that was leading us around.
Oh, he's there.
Did he get searched?
He did not. He was ordering other people to be searched.
Can we search? Yes, I would like someone to search him.
Okay, sure. He holds his arms out to his sides. Do you want me to take my armor off, or?
I just look to Lucirosio's Arius to do it because I'm not.
Aurelia, why would you think that the captain had done this?
Got my hunches.
Sorry, so walk over.
Yeah, so after a search of him, you don't find, you do find something, but you don't actually find any poison. What you find is there's a scroll on him, and you realize, you sort of set it aside at first, but you realize as you're looking at it that there is a a picture, at least a fairly crudely drawn one, but a picture nonetheless of your face on it. And sort of opening it up a little bit and looking at it in the firelight, you realize it's in a language you can't read, but it definitely has pictures of you and Lucia Rossi.
Like a page from a comic book, incomplete.
No,
be-
like an official letter from his superiors that he had in a pouch.
Okay.
Whose faces?
It's just Zarius and Lucia Rossi.
I
And
will.
at that point, when he sees you looking at it, he's like, "That is official Imperial military business. You're not authorized to see that." And he snatches that back.
I was gonna say it so T-Hole can look at it.
Well, let me see. And I kind of.
He snatched it. He has snatched it back and shoved it into his belt pouch. Look, I'll level with you. This came in while you were searching through the runes. We received a rider. I'm not going to give you any trouble on it, but it says that you guys, and in particular T-Hole, is persona non grata within the Empire. And so we are supposed to detain you and report that when we have you in our custody. I'm not going to order anyone to take you into custody because it's also very clear that that might be suicide. I don't know why they would expect that we would be the ones to do it, but I will say you can expect that we will probably report that you've been here. Good news is we can't actually spare anyone to go riding off and deliver that message. But, in a week or two, another messenger will come through and we will probably let them know.
That's understandable, Captain. We appreciate your forthrightness with this.
Does it give a reason?
Apparently, you were involved in some sort of attack on an Imperial position in the mountains.
I know nothing.
Other than that, though, it doesn't say what your role was in the attack, just that we're to detain you, to try to take you alive, and to report when we have you in custody or on your whereabouts if we hear rumors of you.
Or poisonous?
It does not say that we would poison you.
Maybe to
And
weaken
in any event, it seems as though the poison went to the farming family and to you alone. I mean, I don't think this will hurt your feelings, but your name isn't mentioned here, Aurelia. There's a brief description of a black cat-headed lady, but they didn't even get your name.
They will. Oh, they will.
So we're going to move these bodies, I guess, into tents. There aren't many animals out here, but there are some monstrous things that roam these lands. I prefer to get the bodies at least out of sight because it's a little weird.
No, that is fine, Captain. So,
and we
we
really
need
should
to-
consider burying them in the morning because they're not going to keep very long.
You should. It will help to nourish the ground.
So we need to assume that whoever made this poisoned these people did so intentionally. So it was the farmer's family, except for the son-in-law and his wife, correct?
Yep.
So why would they be spared? And why would Aurelia be poisoned?
Then I go back up to Lukaskus. Walk up to her.
Mm-hmm.
So did you grow up in hell?
I did not grow up in hell.
Well,
I
you're
grew up in essentially a cabin in the middle of nowhere that is in Secondus in the Empire. My parents essentially, when I was born, squirreled me away with a crazy old relative so that I could be raised, but not where anyone would see me.
While that's happening, Lucirosi would approach the wife and son-in-law and try to talk to them.
So
But I don't want to interrupt what's going on with Aurelia and Lokexicus. I just want to say that that's something I'm doing.
So you wouldn't have any poisoning tendencies or anything?
I would never use poison. I am a peaceful person at heart. I am just an antique stealer.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure that, I know you have affections for Lucirosi, and I just want to say that I'm not interested or jealous. So trying to take me out is not going to, you're not moving anybody out of the way. And you
I
two
would
together.
I would never try to poison you.
Okay.
Even
you
if
two
I thought
together.
even if I thought you were interested in Lucirosi, I might try to see if maybe you could be a little interested in me too.
No. No. The whole thing, you two kind of together make me kind of really gross. And those noises I heard the other night, that time, I sometimes have a hard time getting them out of my head. So, anyway. Okay, good. Just as long as we had this good girl talk.
The daughter is still crying, and her husband has his arms wrapped around her. She is basically sitting next to the body of her mother. Otto is nearby. He's probably going to be unconscious for hours still. It's hard to say exactly, but no magic to revive him.
So Lucirosi would kneel down beside them, and he would say, "I am so sorry for your losses, but I must ask, who would want to see harm befallen on your family?"
It is obvious. It is Weiss. Weiss has always just been angry. We've treated her so well for a slave. She never understood how good she had it. She was always willful. She always hated my little brother. She would accuse him of things. She would just, she's a horrible person. My father told you she's a terrible slave when you bought her.
What did she accuse them of?
My brother has a crush on her. He would annoy her. So she would accuse him of various things, saying he broke things or dirty things or tried to touch her or was too close to her or was bothering her, preventing her from getting her work done. She was always making things up.
Why would you and your husband be spared?
Well, I don't think she has anything against my husband, but I don't know if she would spare me. There's no love lost between me and her.
That's the part that doesn't make sense to me. If Weiss had issues with your family, why would she not poison the two of you?
Like I said, she didn't have anything specific against my husband. He didn't. We've only been married for a year. He had very little interaction with her. Once I got married, we didn't even live in the same house as my family. But Weiss knows that Weiss knows that I have no love for her, not after all she has done.
But even if Weiss was responsible for this, she must know that she would be the first target. And she would not escape this alive, not in a camp full of soldiers. That seems a little too brazen.
No one ever said Weiss is clever.
So I'm not just asking her, I'm also asking her husband all of this stuff, and I'm trying to keep like an eye on their reactions to these questions. Lucirosi, because
give me an insight check. I will say, Zarius, there's certainly a lot of details in what she said that she's not sharing. She summarized a lot of shit in very few words.
Yeah.
But you could,
Did
in particular, you sort of got that she was maybe fudging the truth when she said that Weiss said that her brother was like touching her.
Hmm.
But not necessarily, you're not sure she was lying, but you know, there's more to that story.
I'd also like to point out Lucia Rossi's work as an inquisitor for the church likely led him to issues where people murdered family for gains of property and inheritance and things like that. So that's one of the kind of things Lucia Rossi is being suspicious about.
That's what I started thinking of too.
Oh, you can give me, yeah, you get the same sense as I just told Sarius. There's something more to Weiss hating her little brother that she hasn't gone into, but you absolutely get the sense that she thinks Weiss is the murderer.
Mm-hmm. What about the husband?
He also, I mean, he thinks things point to Weiss being the murderer. He seems a little stunned by all this. I mean, obviously nobody was expecting anything like this tonight. But he doesn't even seem like he understands that Weiss has that big a grudge against them all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to the point of murdering them, at least.
Were the family searched?
These two were not. But I will save you time and say that if you search them, you're not going to find poison vials. Of course, they've had like half an hour now to stash poison vials.
Right. It's gonna go over to the Teal's gonna go to the pot. And do I like kind of like getting a spoonful? Do I smell troll blood in it?
Give me a perception check. You do not.
I'm gonna eat.
I mean, I would point out you ate some of it already, but you know, maybe your portion came out first. But if you taste it now, it seems fine. You don't taste anything. I would say though, if it smelled sort of obviously of troll blood, it might have been hard to feed it to people. Like people would have stopped eating it if it had like a distinct odor of troll blood.
True.
But you don't get sick.
It is possible that none of us were even the targets.
What do you mean by that, Sarius?
Someone else was the target, but the culprit, their aim was off.
Well, I think that's also a question that we don't really know, is who could have done this, who had access to the food, because ostensibly if they had easy access to the food, they also had easy access to determine where the food went.
Yeah,
As much as I despise, as much as I dislike the small one, like sort of nodding towards Nimrod.
Oh, I'm allowed to talk now, am I?
No.
Are you going to give me another shiner?
I'm not talking
Look,
to him.
this one's already black. You want to make the other one, mate?
Still talking to Lucia Rossi, not actually directing any statements towards Nimrod. Just
yeah, fuck
mentioning
you.
him.
And the
If
husband,
anyone.
the husband chimes in at that point, Otto's son-in-law, and says, "Well, if you think that maybe there was someone was attacked by accident, it does seem as though it was Otto and Otto's wife and the son and Aurelia. Perhaps Aurelia got the wrong plate. Maybe Weiss was trying to kill my wife, but somehow the plates got mixed up."
But still, that
Why
wouldn't
your-
make sense
Why your
because
wife and not
Weiss.
you?
I hardly know Weiss.
So
Maybe she would try to kill me too, just for the spite of it. I don't know her well enough, but I don't own slaves. I have barely interacted with Weiss in the year I've known her. Why she would kill me, I don't know. Why she would kill anyone, I don't know. But if she had a grudge against the Prince family, there's only one remaining member of the Prince family alive other than my wife.
There, crimes of
Maybe
passion
Maybe
do
she
happen.
was trying to
but-
poison my wife and rolled a natural one, and
What
then
was
the plate went, unfortunately, to Aurelia.
Yeah. What's your relationship with Otto like?
The husband?
Yeah.
I would say it was good. He owned at the time a very big farm. I doubt any of us will see our farms again in this life. But yes, my family owned the farm next to the Pilzes.
Hmm. Yeah, but
Uh,
Otto was pretty rich, right? Like you can see it on him. And I just like gesture at his body weight.
He was very successful for a farmer, yes.
Hmm.
Most of the farmers in our region were fairly prosperous in terms of the typical farmer. But yes,
Yeah,
he was above the norm even for our area.
So if let's say Otto was to die, who would get stuck with like all of this stuff?
Well, all of the stuff in the cart, you mean?
Yeah.
I am not I am not a lawyer. I assume it would go to my wife.
Hmm. Right.
I might go to Otto's brother, but I don't know where Otto's brother is. He evacuated before us. He may be at the refugee camp. In any event, I don't know that there's enough here to kill over.
You weren't jealous of Otto in any way, were you?
No. Otto is a good man, a little selfish sometimes, but overall he had a kind heart.
seems like a good question to insight check on. Fuck you.
I mean, I would say because of your passive insight, you get that he feels he was being a little generous in saying he's a little selfish sometimes. But that he was probably being honest when he said a good man overall.
Right. Okay. A good man for what he is.
Right.
A
Look,
piece of
I
shit.
may have lost track of you when we're hunting and gathering and stuff. You didn't find any like dodgy mushrooms out there or anything like that, right? You slipped in.
We did not find any mushrooms. No, we did find some wild grain, but no mushrooms.
Right.
Do you think it was the grain? If so, I swear it was an accident. I mean, the grain looked perfectly serviceable to me. The kernels were very small, but wild grain. So we collected what we could. I do believe
I
it
saw
went
everyone
into,
picking up a little bit of that. Yeah. I don't know.
but
I
it
know.
went into the pot, and your friend T-Hole, he ate some of it just now.
Yeah.
Seems he's being overcome with the poison.
Yes, the sleeping sickness is
It's
setting
got
in.
tryptophan in it.
Yeah. that's that grain's nicknamed the owl bear.
Mm-hmm.
And the captain comes back up to you and says, it seems to me we're going in circles. I don't think you guys are going to uncover the murderer now. My money, for whatever it's worth, is on Weiss, but I'm not that good at this stuff. So, listen, it's been a hoot having you guys here. It really has been, but you kind of need to move on in the morning and take that emotions towards Weiss with you when you go. If you want to take the bodies with you so you can continue to whatever, that's fine. If not, we can bury them. And I'm going to have to ask you to eat separately come the morning. No offense. I really don't mean to offend you all, but this is the first murder we've had in camp.
No, that you're offering no offense. It is perfectly understandable, Captain. So, I'll say this out of earshot of anyone else except for, the party. If whoever did this, if they're very much dedicated to ensuring that their targets are eliminated, they may make an attempt during the evening while we're asleep. They may want to try and finish the job.
So there are like a lot of colossi and deadpools, so you could probably set a guard pretty easily.
Yeah, but I think we don't want to make it obvious either, because perhaps that is the way that we flush out whoever did this.
So who are you saying this in front of?
Oh, I was thinking it was just like Aurelia, Zarius, Nimrod, and T-Hole.
Okay, because like Aurelia was talking to Loki not so long ago, so Loki's definitely in the vicinity. I would imagine most of the colossi and the deadpools are nearby, looking on.
Right. So I would kind of motion.
Weiss has clearly not been allowed to leave your side, so she is within 15 feet.
Okay. So
you can always try to peel people off. I just didn't understand that you were trying to huddle.
Yeah, I would try and do it in a way that I mean, it's going to be suspicious no matter what, trying to do that now that I think about it, the way that you put it. So maybe I just...
And as you try to huddle, Dora tries to like sneak in there, but Dora rolled a 4, so that's like an 8 on her stealth check.
So maybe I would just say this to Zarius then. Because probably him I can get close enough to speak privately without broadcasting it to anyone else nearby. So Zarius, perhaps we set a trap this evening.
How so?
That's well, if somebody was so committed to murdering this family that they would do it within an encampment full of soldiers, then perhaps they're brazen enough to try to finish the job when they think we are asleep.
Let us set up sorts of watches, perhaps.
How do we do it without being too obvious?
What if the unfortunate person who gets stuck with Otto...
You're not there.
Not there.
Oh, I'm not there. Oh, sorry. Can't hear.
Zarius has been so good at ignoring you that you are actually there.
And Brendan just walks out.
You take a first watch. Wake me partway through. And I will take a second.
So
I will go next to T-hole. Hold on, let me make sure. T-hole is he's human, yeah.
Yep.
I will next go to Aurelia.
well, that's part of the issue is that Weiss is going to be expected to stay by my side.
At all times.
The captain made it pretty clear, and technically she is my responsibility.
Will she hold your hand while you micturate?
Zarius, you know that's not what I mean. But if we're going to be trying to be subtle about this, we'll need to take that into consideration. How do we, in a sense, set a trap?
Also, it's hold his hand if she's lucky.
Yeah, Weiss is not my biggest fan right now. Although although I know that elves are portrayed to be pretty impulsive and unthinking, I still think, you know, even though I kind of follow it up on Zarius's lead, I don't think that she would have done this out in the open like this because it's obvious that she would be the first one considered. And likely had it been anyone else, any other group, she would have just been executed just for the sake of, you know,
Good thing we don't have Hellweir.
yeah, he would want her ears and maybe some more than that.
Would have been solved already. He would have killed her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Better
he
solve.
would have got the nipples too.
he would have killed her probably like when she was still unconscious in the troll camp for her ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a whole
Um,
family might be alive today.
Mhm.
If only Hellweir, the hero, had been here.
Oh, we're the hero. The hero everyone needed.
Let it be known across the land.
Somewhere,
I mean,
Hellweir's
right,
ears are ringing, and he's like,
Fucking elves.
I would say I would add to what you were saying. The stereotype of elves also includes it is very much that they're amoral or impulsive, but also amoral.
yeah.
So, or at least their morality works very differently. So, you know, a lot of people in the camp are probably pretty sure she did it.
Yeah.
You just have to be
A
clever.
racist.
Clever in your way of returning or in your shifting to wake me. And I will have to do the same when I go to Aurelia. I will go to her when we are done speaking and inform her. Then I will have her pass that on to T-Hole.
So, what do we have in terms of sleeping arrangements? Considering this is all outdoors, do we have like tents and stuff?
There have been no sleeping arrangements made for you yet, and it literally hasn't come up. It is
Well,
now.
I mean,
so,
like, what do we have packed?
I know at some point you had tents. Like one of them got burned.
Yeah.
So one of the
So-
tents was gone.
That was
Most of
Lucerosi's.
you've been sleeping in houses. Like most of the Colossi and Deadpools don't have tents.
Zarius has a tent.
Right.
His
So I
didn't.
think you have like two tents, two-person tents, and that's it. There are, I mean, you could ask about using one of the tents. They seem to even have extras, although they're all like camp tents. These are not two-person tents. They're like, you could probably sleep 8 people in these tents.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do need to know what your sleeping arrangements are going to be.
Right. So,
I mean, the soldiers themselves have tents. They're all sort of scattered around the outer edges of the debris field. But they don't actually sleep unless they absolutely have to outside under the stars, usually, if they have time to make a camp. This camp is actually pretty orderly. Like, there is a defensive ditch around it that they dug when they got here. There's different areas to micturate from the rest of the camp, so that are relatively far away. So if you have to go in the night, there is a little bit of a hike involved. But right now, where they're serving food is kind of, it is pretty much in the debris field. It's not like in the main pile of rock, of course, but it's not that far away from it. And they have these enormous bonfires that are lighting everything up.
so are those bonfires going to be burning throughout the night?
Yes. And they will themselves have guards, at least at the perimeter and at the interior, to make sure nothing sneaks up on them. Although, and there are a few dwarves in this crowd, no gnomes that you could see. The dwarves disproportionately take the night shift. It is, there were a few dwarves who were doing some of the digging, but it was a lot of humans in particular doing the digging during the day. The
Mhm.
dwarves were sleeping during the day specifically so that they can do guard duty at night.
Since I can see.
Yeah, at least a little better than the humans can.
So,
I think I'm just gonna Teal is just gonna cowboy camp.
yeah, I'm just wondering, Zarius, perhaps you can also speak to the captain and see if maybe he can make arrangements so that he's continuing to protect his soldiers, but to give us a bit of room so that it's not so that their watch would not necessarily so that it would create an opening if the killer decided to finish their business during the nighttime. I would talk to the captain myself, but Weiss as I said before, Weiss needs to be with me at all times, and I do not want her hearing of this or suspecting, nor do I want the family.
Is this loud now? Is everyone involved in this conversation?
Oh no, I'm still talking to just Zarius.
Okay.
Because I figure I can relay it to Zarius somewhat privately while still keeping an eye on Weiss and, kind of keeping it quiet where she might not hear. And then Zarius can kind of communicate that to everyone else.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. You do not wish to have another person murdered. We will do what we can.
So, who are the guards you're setting up? What are they looking for? Are they just watching the like Otto who survived, or Otto and his daughter and son-in-law? What are they guarding against exactly?
Oh, what I was intending and meaning by that would be that the guards would kind of stay away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm trying to almost set a situation that is baiting for whoever the killer might be, but also trying to make sure that we're keeping those people as safe as possible, making it not obvious that anybody is actually watching.
Okay.
Right, and
So
then we.
that's Luciusi's thought. How that actually gets executed is a different story, but that's kind of his intention. Keep the soldier guards away, you know, allow them to keep themselves safe, but, you know, give us the space so that we can control the situation around our own camp.
Right. We'll just we'll keep an eye out for suspicious behavior.
And if Weiss must sleep near me, one thing that I would do is maybe try to do a performance check to kind of fake that I'm asleep.
She is an elf. She
doesn't
like
sleep.
Right, she doesn't. Right, she doesn't sleep, but you know, I do, and so she might, you know, think, oh, now's her chance. If it is her, I'm still thinking it's not.
I'm leaning that way as well. That's why I don't want to eyeball her specifically. I want to keep an eye on everybody.
So you're basically going to lay there. How are you going to not sleep at all?
If that's what it takes, being up the entire night, yeah, I'm good with that. So
Okay.
I know that'll probably take on a level of exhaustion.
Yeah, I would. It probably will. I'm going to say that you will definitely take on a level of exhaustion. Will need when you do lay down, Aurelia, Zarius, and T-Hole to all make me con saves, because you were working pretty vigorously excavating 2 sites today in the heat, and now you're going to have a day's travel tomorrow. So you also may be. Do you want to use your action point?
It's time.
Oh wait, so I guess Luciosi's aura does not go on that. So that
No,
that
wouldn't
-4 does not kick in. It should just be 15
Okay, that still makes
or
it
+4,
work.
whatever.
It wouldn't be +4; it's only +3.
I know,
Right, but
Well, I
he's
had
adding the war
too.
horn because
Oh,
Aurelia has not actually deattuned him from it yet. Although
Right.
technically it is.
It's not active
on
either.
you.
So
Right.
because of the anti-magic. So yeah.
So Aurelia and Lucirosi roll me a con save. Well, Lucirosi doesn't have to. You're
Is
staying
this
out.
I'm
for-
just taking on a level of
Is this a
exhaustion.
level of exhaustion for what we did?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to take one because I probably won't be sleeping.
Okay. So Lucirosi, also make me a deception check to see how well you're able to fake being asleep.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh yeah, deception would make more sense than
Or
performance.
performance, I suppose. Either one.
I mean, they're
would
the
do.
same. They're the
What-
same.
What does an elf know of what sleeping looks like? They've never done it before in their life.
They've
Right, but
certainly
what
seen
does-
others.
Right, but Lucirosi has never seen himself asleep, so he doesn't know how loud he snores or anything like that. He may overplay it, ham it up.
Can I give him pointers before?
I just want to be clear on one thing. The level of exhaustion is going to happen after this check, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, deception. Boom. Action point. Second action point. Last action point. Damn it. Oh, well.
You're supposed you want to get that die roll above 10.
Yeah.
Easy.
Right. Right. Or like a Three Stooges, like. Whoop, 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 whoop. So
Because he saw it in a
will-
play once.
Right. I will secretly roll to see if she can see through this masterful deception. So I guess that's where we'll wrap it up this time. We will. I actually next time we meet, I don't think we're going to have Lucirosi here.
Or if you do, it's going to be a very different kind of Lucirosi than everybody's used to.
A poison
Definitely
blue
sure
rosy.
more around.
I mean, let's do this one last thing, I guess, before we wrap it up. At some point during the night, Weiss like taps you very lightly and says, Lucirosi. Ugh.
Do I, so can I do an insight to see if it's like she's trying to get my attention or she's trying to see if I'm asleep?
Sure, give me an insight check.
Mm.
They're probably very similar, so I don't even know, but whatever. Try it.
You're aware of two things: that she knows you're faking being asleep, and she's trying to get your attention.
Okay. All right. So I would then kind of groan and say, "Yes, Weiss."
I have to go pee.
All right.
You have to come.
I know. I will come. Let's go. I'll also let kind of with a bit of kind of regret or guilt in my voice. I'll say, Weiss, I do apologize for earlier. I was acting on a suspicion Zarius had, but I do not believe that you murdered Otto, or rather his son and wife.
So make me a persuasion check. Then you need to support me next time. Don't just take other people's side. Assume that I killed people.
I apologize, Weiss. But we are trying to find out who the murderer is. I may have overreacted, but I do not believe you would have attempted something so bold in the company of so many, especially knowing that had circumstances be different, they may have just killed you without a thought.
So you make your way across the camp to the outside where they've set up essentially it's more or less just like a series of holes. They're small, like wooden enclosures. They're not like shacks. It's not like it's an outhouse or anything, but they're like low walls so that people can sort of squat down and do their business. But even with these walls, like there are huge gaps in them, so you can basically see what's going on there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So she does her business. She stops and says, "I can't do it when you're looking at me."
I'll kind of turn so that she's still in my peripheral, but I'm not directly staring at her.
Okay, roll for initiative.
Excellent.
Hold on, I have to pull something up.
FYI, I'm not wearing my armor.
I know you're not.
Classic.
Is all of this a disadvantage now? Does he have the exhaustion now?
I would, it's closer to morning. I would say, yeah, probably.
Okay, so I have a level exhaustion. I have no armor.
And you got to roll that initiative again, see if you get
Yep.
lower.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
boy.
around it.
Oh boy.
This is not going to be as bad or take super long anyway, but
Famous last words.
Yeah.
right. I mean, you could
The
like
one.
kill yourself in a grapple.
Yeah, I
accidentally.
could just roll 3 natural ones.
Yes.
And I just get struck by lightning by Cledwell because I insulted him for some reason.
Oh, I see why.
Hmm.
So you technically get to go first, but that doesn't make any sense. So this is essentially a surprise round
Uh-huh.
where you turn around and see she's running. She is leapt over the little wall in the latrine, and she is just on foot barreling across the countryside. You
Okay.
can see in the distance about 200 yards away, there is the beginnings of a small forest.
Yeah.
She seems to be headed in that direction. She is also kind of faster than you might have guessed.
So I'm going to rage. And then give chase. So with that, since I'm at disadvantage, then I have advantage, so it just cancels out for like athletics checks and things like that.
Right.
Okay.
If you're not attacking or attacked, you lose it, right?
That is true.
Well, that says it all.
Throw one of those spears. Yeah, you didn't fucking grab any of those. I know you didn't.
No armor, no spears.
No fucking weapons.
I think I would have had at least a weapon. I wasn't going out unarmed knowing that there's a killer. I wouldn't have worn my armor because I wanted to appear like I was sleeping, but I would have at least had a weapon. I probably wouldn't have been fully armed, though. I don't know that I probably would have brought a javelin.
So what we'll do is this. We're going to have a little bit of a skill challenge, although it's going to be pretty much mostly athletic checks unless you think of something special. She is going to get, however, advantage on her athletics checks because she's a wood elf. No one ever asked about that, but she's a wood elf.
Of
So
course.
her speed is actually a little bit faster than yours.
So I'm assuming it's been about 4 hours or so. She's had her long rest.
I accidentally rolled. She has not had her long rest yet. So she, however, she wasn't digging all day long either. So it's not clear. She is not fatigued as you guys are. She doesn't have a level of exhaustion. I rolled her con save. She made it.
I'm wondering, I know rage is meant for mostly combat situations where it's like, okay, you have to take damage or do damage. But in a situation like this, I mean, it especially because the way this happened, can the rage be extended because it kind of makes sense?
I'm inclined to allow it, but I feel like it shouldn't be necessarily automatic.
No, and I'm not saying that it needs to be automatic, but I mean, just kind of within the context of this situation. I'm
I'll tell you what, I will, for purposes of this chase, I will let you make, let's say, nothing too hard, a DC 12 wisdom save, and if you make it with all of your bonuses and everything else. So if you make a DC 12 wisdom save, you can extend your rage for like another round.
It seems to me that Lucerosi might be having flashbacks to another time he trusted somebody and they stole some of his shit.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a little different. He was magically put to sleep.
That's true.
Still,
Now he's just running.
Yeah, Lucerosi felt like he had some control over the situation, but so that's where he got. Yeah, Lucerosi's just never going to trust anyone anymore. All right,
I mean,
so
I would also point out, just because she's running doesn't mean she's guilty. A lot of
true,
people
but
pointed the finger at her today.
international sign of guilt.
That's okay. All right, Mr. Police Officer. You're going to shoot her as well?
too bad,
Hey,
so
maybe
sad.
if she doesn't follow simple commands, I'm within right.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
right now
God, I
she is
hate
about
this world.
50 feet away from you. For
Okay.
every point you can beat her athletics check, you basically will gain 5 feet on her.
Okay.
And you get to go first.
Okay. So obviously I'm using my bonus action to rage, and then I'm also using move and dash, so athletics.
Right. We're not necessarily. I am basically giving her advantage because she's faster than you.
Okay,
She is
that's
also
fine.
using move and dash. I assume everybody's moving as fast as they can.
Yeah.
But you stumble. It's dark.
Yeah.
She also, you're evenly matched because you both have dark vision, but it's still low light. So we'll
Yeah.
just say you're gaining. Everybody's moving and dashing. We're just we make one roll on your turn to see whether you gain or lose
Okay.
distance.
All right, here we
So-
go.
Zarius instinctually rolls over and grabs the map tucked in his.
You. All right. Here it is for all the marbles. Fuck.
Oh.
Oh, she gains a huge amount.
Okay.
So she is like 110 feet ahead of you now. As you did not expecting it, you stumble
Yeah.
and she takes off running. And then she continues to run. By the way, if she can make it 300 feet ahead of you, she reaches the forest, and you're not going to find her at that point.
Right. All right. So do I need to
Burn
make
that forest down.
Do I need to make that wisdom save now?
Yes, if you want to extend your rage. At the end of your turn, we'll say you do it.
Oh.
So yeah, you've extended it another round.
All right.
So you've got to beat a 21, which you're perfectly capable of doing.
But not gonna.
Oh, boy. You
Okay.
fell down a rabbit hole, dude.
So she's now like 185 feet. It is not going well, and it's your turn.
Oh, more ones, he'll die.
You fall into a prairie dog hole and break your leg and bleed out.
and die.
Nobody knows you're out here, so you bleed out and die.
More ones, here they come.
So
You fall, you break your leg stepping into the latrine hole. The wound is infected.
Thought if you're
Yep,
raging,
it gets infected. Yep.
Come on.
Now, go ahead.
All
it's your
right.
turn.
So first my wisdom save.
Damn.
Okay.
Hit it.
More ones.
And then nope.
I thought if you're raging, you get advantage on your athletics checks.
I'm
He's at
exhausted.
disadvantage because he's exhausted.
Oh,
So just cancel out each other out.
Fast as fuck, boy.
So she's like 215 feet ahead of you now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's her turn. That's very beatable. So this time you gain on her. So instead of the 215 feet, what is that? 8. So she's like 200 feet now, 195 feet. And
Okay.
it's your turn.
All right. So wisdom save, and then ugh.
Not that much.
Okay. Wisdom save. No, is it her turn now or mine? Or I don't.
I actually think that was that was her contesting your turn, and so she beat you again by 8. So she's at like 220 feet ish.
Okay.
So this is actually, you didn't have to roll that, but we'll take that as your save for next time. This is her turn.
No change. Oh wait, no. She
No.
get advantage.
She has advantage. Just like the
Yeah.
last one, she actually beat you by a bit.
Yeah. Okay. And now okay, so that one's hers. So now I'm Jesus.
Whoa.
Ashros has decreed that no slaves are allowed for paladins of Ashros.
So she wins one more. I think she's pretty much away.
Come on, let's see that 20, buddy.
No.
She reaches the edge of the forest. You run in, but she is gone. In the darkness, she is beyond the range of your dark vision at this point. The forest is even darker than the night sky outside. And you don't even hear the sound of her footprints as she's running through these woods.
Well, shit.
No spell slot sucks.
Well, I don't know if I had spell slots it would even matter, but if I had access to my radiant soul, that could have helped. If I hadn't used all my action points trying to pretend I was asleep, that could have helped. If I had javelins, that could have helped.
I don't know. I mean, hold person might have helped.
Oh yeah, I do have that, don't I? Command could have helped.
Right.
All right. Well, Lucia Rossi sucks.
Yeah, so I'm sure you try to pick up her trail for a little while, but eventually you just have to concede and you walk back to the camp.
Can I try to do I mean, it's probably going to be like near impossible, but some kind of survival check to see if maybe there's some kind of track or trail or...
Sure.
Okay. And this is at disadvantage because I'm exhausted.
Yeah, you're at night in the low light, no torch. You just can't see anything.
Yeah.
Pretty confident she went in the woods.
See if only Helwy was here, because his favorite enemy was elves. He would have found her pretty fast.
Right, and he was pretty good at tracking.
Yeah.
And can't get lost in the woods.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh shit! Do I get lost in the woods?
No, I assume you don't go deep enough that you're at any risk of getting lost. But we've already established that if Hellware were here, the whole family would still be alive and together. Right, and it's about this point in time when the rest of you begin to hear just wailing as by now Otto has regained consciousness, and his daughter has informed him that the rest of his family is dead.
And you
So,
might
and he
hear
is near all of you, so you would have heard him.
And you might hear out in the distance a thunderous roar.
Yes, Lucersi is not here.
Yeah.
Right. And he may not be here next time. He may be on the hunt for Weiss. Unarmored on his own without weapons. He continues to search. And then, as that is where we'll wrap it up for this session.
Between Lucia Rossi's roar and Otto screaming, T-Hole just kind of turns over. It's like, ugh, Can't even get any sleep around here.
It's already hot. Can't you be quiet?
I will say, in the morning, after having had a night to think on it, whether or not Lucia Rossi comes back, Cato probably would share that he doesn't know if Weiss did it either. That, yeah, it's super obvious if she did it, but, you know, you're kind of assuming that she knew how long the poison was going to take to kill people and how obvious it was going to be, like Otto vomiting up blood. He doesn't necessarily know that Weiss would know, but he can't explain where Weiss got the poison either. So that to him suggests something else. He's not sure that it couldn't be the quasit.
Yeah, I was actually.
But how
randomly
did the
starting to think
quasit
about that.
get in if the quasit can't turn invisible? And why would the
Well-
quasit target Otto and the rest of them? So he also doesn't really have an explanation. But you could see, like the soldiers, he is a little more suspicious of the elves, which might be pure just racial bias on his part.
So I'm gonna do something a little. I'm gonna because Lucia Rossi, he's just like enraged, pissed at himself, at Weiss, at the situation, at everything. So I'm gonna do a wisdom saving throw, DC 15. If Lucia Rossi fails, he's going into the woods. That's a very hard one for me to fail.
With a disadvantage too.
No, it's a save, not a skill
Yeah,
check.
Oh, okay.
like literally, I have to roll a 6 or less to fail this, but we'll see. I mean, the gods have not been kind to Lucia Rossi lately, so maybe. Oh,
You're
Okay.
good. You're real fine.
I thought you were gonna say you're gonna make wisdom saving throw, and if you fail, you're gonna start banging your head on rocks again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might do that. That's just normal. There are a lot of rocks around here.
I forget. Did you say if Zarius got a level of exhaustion?
You made your save, so you didn't.
Cool.
Assuming you slept, like you
Yeah,
got your 8 hours, then that's fine.
So I was expecting Lucia Rossi to wake me, but yeah.
That's true. Yeah, the watch maybe fell apart. It wasn't Lucia Rossi's watch at the time. Weiss made him, basically lied to him to go out. The one skill Weiss is actually really good at is deception.
Yeah.
Like I said, the slaves actually kind of pick that up because they need to get out of trouble. So I
And
figured,
chores.
right. Well, I mean, it's harder to get out of chores, but it's easy. You want to blame somebody else for the things that go wrong. You're trying to, there's a lot of times when you don't want your masters to see what you really think.
Yeah, and that might also be, I mean, outside of, how things unfolded, if she had things that she didn't want to share, and I told her I could compel the truth from her, she probably didn't want to be around this group.
Right. Well, I mean, from prior experience that she's already mentioned that there are plenty of experiences in her past she doesn't want to talk about.
Right. So.
Yeah. Nimrod can spin you a yarn or two about that.
So.
Maybe she and the quasit can form a club.
Ooh. It's the new alliance, elves and quasits.
Yeah. We escaped Colossus in the Deadpools club. So I was expecting this to go a different way, but
Yeah, you expected the whole Solastri thing to go a different way too.
Yeah.